This just goes to show that Oda is the biggest troll on the planet. Like at this point, I wouldn't even be surprised if like Jack comes out of the ocean and he like cracks open and out comes a little munchkin from the Wizard of Oz, and he's just like, I tricked you all, I'm not a mammoth fruit user. I actually just have the hair fruit, and my dad was a circus elephant. But seriously, the way this was revealed, the way he kind of just like peeks out of the shell and just comes out and slices the Gear 4th Python cannon arm, it was just so well drawn out and planned. I gotta say, overall as a chapter, this entire chapter, the scenery, the characters, everything was drawn so nicely. I'm surprised Oda can do this each week. Like, this is insane. He needs a break, which I believe we are getting a break next week. I remember hearing that. So I guess he's getting a break now. He kind of deserves it after this one. So I did say there was going to be a 50-50 chance that Luffy was actually going to beat him this chapter. Turns out the 50% that he wouldn't win is true. But one thing I do gotta say is I noticed that Cracker does have a bit of a weakness. He did say that he is very vulnerable to pain. I'm not sure if that was a joke or maybe he was just kidding around. But if that is true, all Luffy has to do is land like a single Gear 2nd hit or something, even like a normal shot, like a normal pistol, and he could actually win. If say Gear 4th runs out of time, he could actually target his actual body, his real body, and he could use Gear 2nd or 3rd as an alternate method of winning. But Cracker's hockey is just way too strong, so I doubt that's going to be that easy. Easier said than done. Now, if Law were here, it would be pretty easy to maybe use Shambles and maybe teleport him, and he could just pull off a quick Red Hawk, and that would do some damage to Cracker maybe, and it would make him basically go into paralysis maybe from the pain. Unfortunately, of course, Law isn't here, so maybe there will be some other way he can get around. Obviously, one of his last resorts would be King Kong Gun to maybe blast away all of the Biscuit soldiers and the armor. That would theoretically work, and one of the things that interests me about Cracker is he seems to be around the strength of Doflamingo, maybe even stronger, who knows. But it does seem like he is a perfect candidate to be like an awakened Devil Fruit user. We know Devil Fruit awakenings are rare. We don't really know how rare it is just yet. But if Doflamingo had it, and if the awakened zones and Impel Down had it, I can't see why maybe Cracker wouldn't have it as well, as a last resort for him. So we could end up seeing a Cracker awakening versus like a King Kong Gun if this fight does continue. But I'm pretty sure that won't happen because Luffy knows he's going to have to go save Sanji, and if he uses King Kong Gun, he's going to be out. He's going to be down for the count because that completely wears him out. So I think he may use something a little less wearing on his body. As we know, during the time skip, he was fighting on Rusukaina against these animals, and there were many animals that could survive against Gear 4th, so I can't see why he didn't develop maybe one more thing that was like an alternative to maybe fighting durability, maybe a more strategic technique. I don't know. I just really don't want to see this fight end in like a loss or him just running away. We were already disappointed with Jack not getting a fight with Jack, and Doflamingo, you know, he struggled a lot and it wasn't a very satisfying win. So if he can actually pull off a complete win against Cracker and basically assure us that he's not down for the count, you know, he's not that far from Yonko level. He's obviously pretty far, but he's not horribly far away. It can at least assure us that he can make it through the rest of the series without failing a million times. And while this is all going on, Nami, Chopper, and Carrot are all plotting something. Chopper basically finds out that they can use the mirrors in the mirror dimension that Brule used. They can actually go to other mirrors throughout Whole Cake Island, and they could sneak into the wedding that way. Maybe they could find Sanji, tear off his cuffs, and escape. That would be really funny if Sanji just disappears and they're running away. I can only imagine them escaping to Wano and Big Mom just like chasing them down, just like plowing through everything. And speaking of Big Mom, at the end of this chapter, we did get to see kind of a different side of Big Mom. She was still rude and stuff and arrogant, but on the bright side, we did get to see her a little bit more calm and collected. Normally we see her just eating everything, going through one of her hunger fits. So hopefully we can see a type of Big Mom that could be a lot more of a strategy fighter than just a brawler like Kaido. It would be really nice to see, since she is a female and females are naturally better at planning things. It would be nice to see her as more of a strong feminine role model. I'm not a feminist or anything, but it would be really nice to maybe have at least one character that is an inspirational female maybe. At the end of the chapter, we get to see Ichiji and Niji appear, and they are named Sparkling Red and Electric Blue. I can't tell if Sparkling Red is an implication that he uses electricity like sparks. We do know that there is sort of an elemental aspect to the Vent Smokes, like Reiji uses poison, and Ichiji assumably uses some kind of red ability, maybe fire or something, I don't really know. Sanji can somehow use flames by generating them from his body, so maybe he can do something similar. Maybe he has the same ability as the eldest son, which kind of puts him ahead of everybody else. Maybe he can use fire and electricity, which is why he's named Sparkling Red. I call dibs on that one. But great chapter overall, I would say. I really enjoyed this. Hopefully it doesn't start going downhill from here. Hopefully this is just like the climax. And then eventually we can hop over to the Wano arc. I don't want this arc to last too long unless we get something really significant from it. Tell me your thoughts, of course. Do you think Luffy will beat Cracker? Do you think he's just going to run away and try to escape with Sanji? Put your thoughts down below, and I will see you all later.